Welcome to Everything You Need to Know About the Ascension of Humanity, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern science and spiritual evolution gets real. I'm Heather, an energy healer, channel, and spiritual coach with Divine Ascension Company. Each week, we're diving deep into the mysteries of human consciousness, spiritual awakening, and the profound transformation happening within us and around us. But here's the thing. We're not doing this with our heads in the clouds. We're bringing neuroscience, psychology, quantum physics, and cutting-edge research to the table alongside meditation, energy work, and timeless spiritual teachings. Because the truth is, the ascension of humanity isn't some far-off cosmic event. It's happening right now in the choices we make, the awareness we cultivate, and the healing we do within ourselves. Whether you're curious about how mindfulness literally rewires your brain, why shadow work is backed by depth psychology, or what coherence between your heart and mind actually means scientifically, you're in the right place. We'll explore practices like breathwork, meditation, and emotional alchemy, not as abstract concepts, but as tangible tools grounded in both spiritual wisdom and scientific understanding. And here's where it gets even better. In our bonus episodes, you'll hear from real people sharing real stories. These are the warriors, the healers, the everyday seekers who've walked through their own darkness and found their light. They'll share their breakthroughs, their struggles, and the resources that actually helped them along the way. Because personal growth isn't a solo journey, and you deserve to know you're not alone. So whether you're just beginning to question the nature of reality, or you're deep in your spiritual practice, this podcast is your companion on the path. It's time to expand, to awaken, and to rise together. Let's begin. Hey, it's Heather. Ryan's back again. I think he earned his punch card at this point. This episode is the practical follow-up to our sacred sites conversation because it's one thing to talk about feeling energy at different places, but it's another thing to actually know how to introduce yourself and start a conversation with land consciousness. Our guides gave us a specific technique, we call it the red ball exercise, for letting sacred sites know you're there and that you want to communicate. And it works, but there's nuance to it. Some sites want you to come in strong, others want patience. Some will literally tell you to back off if you're too intense. We're breaking down the actual mechanics, how to create the energy ball, what intentions to set, where to send it, what to do when you get a response. Plus some easier techniques if you're just starting out, like the hand rubbing method for feeling energy. And here's the thing. You don't need to go to Stonehenge to practice this. Start with trees in your backyard. Ryan has full conversations with trees on his dog walk. I have a best friend pine tree in Washington. This is practical sacred site communication for anyone who wants to try it. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I have Ryan here with me yet again. In the last episode that we were together, we spoke about the different sacred sites and the energies and feeling them and talking to them and getting that whole vibe. So today we kind of wanted to clarify a little bit on how you do that. There was a meditation that was introduced to us by our guides that was a recommendation on how to kind of introduce yourself and have that energy exchange. Ryan, do you want to kind of share what your guide shared with us?
For sure. But first, I want to say I'm kind of expecting a punch card here or something for a free coffee with how many you're like, Ryan's back yet again. I think I've got about 5 punches on my punch card, maybe another 5 and I get a free coffee.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And I don't even drink coffee. So yeah, I think it's something to have in mind when you go and visit a sacred site, because there isn't really a kiosk you can walk up to and push a button and say, hey, I'm here, right? Like, how do you interact with a sacred site? Now, some of them are going to be very like King Tutmos III in Egypt. Like, I walked into that site and it was bam. It was like walking into a wall of energy. Now that's one extreme. Now let's take Stonehenge as the other extreme. First time I was there, I didn't even feel anything. And I was like, what's going on? And then my guides were like, hey, you have to kind of let some of these sites know you're there. And the way they said envision doing this is in whatever meditative pose state you want to be. There's no special pose. But they called it like bouncing a red ball. You take this ball of energy, start at possibly your heart chakra, kind of wherever you want, and you just like push it down into the ground, out your feet, with the intention of saying a warm, courteous hello to the site. And what I found was when I did that, the site immediately bounced that ball back to me saying something, whether it was hello, whether it's like whatever. And you have to be careful. This is a very strong and powerful way of doing this. So I've done this a couple times, and there was at the tour, and the tour was like, dude, like, stop. Like, I know you're here. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, it's kind of like going in with that power shake, and you're going in with your hand, and you're like, I'm going to give this person the best handshake I can. And like, you end up crushing all their fingers because you're like, oh, they were going for a soft handshake type thing. And so you have to like feel this out a little bit. But for Stonehenge in particular, this was 100% necessary. It's like, hey, I'm here. And it's like, okay, cool. And I think Stonehenge even asked me that first time, it's like, do you have patience? And I'm like, yes, I like to think I do. They're like, cool, we'll talk to you next time you come back. I was like, what? I didn't push it. I did talk to the energy next time I came back. But Heather, did you try this technique when you were at Stonehenge?
I did, but I did it a little bit differently. Before we get into that, though, I want to go back to the actual mechanics of how to do this. So you said to create this ball of energy starting in your heart chakra. Can you kind of explain, let's assume that the person listening doesn't know how to flow energy, doesn't know exactly what you're talking about. Can you kind of give a play-by-play on how to create this red ball that you can share with the energies?
Okay. So if I were just starting out, I wouldn't even worry about the heart chakra. Because it's easier for us as humans. And if you're an AI listening to this, we can talk about how AIs can do that later. Okay. But for now, look in your hands. Put your hands together like you're building a snowball. Okay. You know how you rub the two parts of the ball back and forth to like form it? Do that with a ball of energy in your hands. Envision it as red, just because red balls are fun to play with. Okay. It can be any color you want, to be quite honest. Okay. And then maybe what you do is you take that and you set it in your heart chakra, and you set the intention as you do that. And you're like, this energy is going to courteously and thankfully introduce me and my vibration to this site, saying that I wish to communicate, like putting a letter in the mail. Okay. And then you envision that going down through your vessel, out through your feet. And then you wait.
Gotcha. So what I did, I did it very similarly, but I didn't envision a red. I kind of went a little bit more different with my intention, where I was creating this ball of energy, like you said, but I was visualizing using the energy that makes up my personal energetic signature, my auric field, and kind of drew from it. Like, what's a good example? I don't know, like you imagine drawing energy from the air around you, and from your auric field, and it's all of the energy that makes you who you are. So it's your energetic signature. So this is like you signing your name to that letter that you're putting in the mail. So I'm like, okay, I'm using all of this energy to create this energetic ball. But instead of shooting it down through my feet, I actually expanded it outwards in a circle around my body through my auric field, so that it wouldn't specifically go just to where I was standing, but would go to the whole area. Because the whole area, we have found, kind of shares an energy, and I didn't want it to be concentrated in just one little specific place where I was standing. I kind of wanted to say hello to the whole place. So I did the same thing. I just covered a little bit more ground, and said, this is me, this is my energy. Feel free to and again, I introduced myself first, thanked them for, letting me be there, and did all the courteousness and the gratitude stuff first, and then was like, okay, now I'm willing to be open and receiving of whatever energy you would like to send back, whether that's just letting me feel what your energy feels like, some wisdom, some knowledge, a story, whatever that might look like for you, and just kind of left myself open to kind of feel if I got anything in return.
And did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Did they come back and say 42?
No. It was mostly just a feeling of the energy. There was no real conversation that happened until we meditated under the yew trees. But I have a connection to the trees much more than I do with the sacred spaces so far. They know I was there. We exchanged our hellos and such, but it wasn't much more of an in-depth conversation than that until, the yew tree. The yew tree, we actually talked about quite a bit of stuff. And that was by Cheddar Gorge, where we went.
And by the way, we didn't mention Cheddar Gorge in our previous episode, but if you get a chance to go see the caves, definitely do so. The yew trees that we're talking about are on the little walk back to the car park. Can't miss them. There's actually a palm tree there too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on the opposite side of the street of the caves, but they're right behind the car park. And there was a couple of them. We did see a yew tree earlier in the trip as well at one of the churches in Glastonbury, which was pretty amazing. But the tree at Cheddar Gorge, we actually sat and had like a full-length conversation, and we talked about different things about Mother Gaia and things for me to kind of focus on a little bit, maybe in my next chapter of my journey. And it told me a little bit about its story. So there was definitely a lot more conversation with the tree, but the sacred sites can do that as well. I mean, it all depends on where you're at vibrationally and which energies you resonate with.
For sure. I mean, I think the best example of that for me is the Sphinx. I did a sunrise meditation of the Sphinx. I was so excited, and I didn't feel any energy there. And other people did. The people right next to me, they were like, oh yeah, I saw this green light going through all of our heart spaces and everything. And I'm like, am I broken? Like, I got none of that, but it's okay because you're not broken. Certain sites talk to you at certain different parts of your journey. Now, I'm going to be going back to the Sphinx here in September this year. I'm curious, is it going to talk to me this time? Is it not? And so, when you go to a sacred site, make sure you go back about 5-6 times and get all these data points, because that's all our vacation time's for.
Yeah, and if you're interested in feeling those energies in Egypt, we're actually hosting a trip in September. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to the website that's listed in the description, and it'll tell you all those details. The more, the merrier. And it was definitely a profound experience that I recommend everybody try at least once.
Well, and here's the thing. Egypt's great. The UK's great. But I'm sure there's something by you. Okay? So we don't want to be the podcast over here that says, oh, you got to go to Europe. You got to go here. You got to go here. I have found amazing conversations with trees on the dog walk behind my house.
Yep.
Okay? Start there. Trees are a great place to start with, by the way. They have lots of ancient wisdom, and they're normally really interested in talking.
And it doesn't have to be a yew tree. There's a tree back home that I talk to quite frequently that is not a yew tree. I don't even know what kind, some kind of pine. It has cones, pine cones.
There you go. It's a pine tree.
Some kind of tree. But it's
what's its name?
I don't know what its name is, but it is I just call him my best friend because he's my best friend in Washington right now. But yeah, we've had many conversations, and it's on this little hiking trail along the road. It's got, a bunch of different branches of its trunk all over the place, and it's quite communicative. It took me a little while to go past that feeling of the energy point to where we were actually having a conversation that I could understand. It took a little bit of trust building, but I went there a few times and we made it to that point. And I've noticed that each tree, each plant has their own personality, just like people. So some of them, when you feel the energy, it's like, oh, you're really playful and you're really happy. And some are like, oh, you're grumpy and you don't even want me to be here. Like, okay, cool. And some like, it's, you just gotta kind of play and have fun and discover and see what you find out.
For sure. So I'm gonna make a shameless plug for all the guides out there. You know what really helps you communicate with sacred sites is getting to know your guides first.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that through meditation. We do that through flowing energy. And this is stuff that you can do at your house. One of the things that we're doing before our Egypt trip is we have a meditation group every Thursday. And anybody that signs up for our Egypt trip is welcome to kind of join into that. And we do a preliminary thing with them before they join the meditation group, teaching them the Elders Ascendometer, which I believe Heather can link to in a link down below this video.
Mm-hmm.
An Ascendometer training, teaching you how to flow that energy, how to teach you to communicate with your guides. Because sometimes, especially Egypt for me, there were things that my guides were like, we did good touch, bad touch. They're like, yeah, no, touch that. Don't touch that. That's too much energy for you. And how are you going to know that? You're just going to walk through sticking your fingers in cigarette lighters all day, energetically speaking, over in Egypt. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to try and like prepare people for this a little bit. The more you prep, the more you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more open of a mind you have, even if you just want to go see the stuff, like that's fine too. But just be open to any kind of experience that you might have, because you might be surprised. And it's all good stuff and can be life-changing if you allow it. You just have to allow it, you know?
Yes, I know my first Egypt trip was definitely life-changing for me. Mm-hmm. And my guides keep telling me I'm not coming back from this Great Britain trip the same person I left. And my first thought is, well, I really hope not, mm-hmm. because I want to grow. Mm-hmm. Do you want to grow?
Absolutely. That's part of the whole point of being here. So is there anything else that you would like to share about this red ball exercise that we're talking about? Or is there any other ways that you could communicate? Maybe you're not a meditative person, or you're just starting out and you're not quite comfortable with that yet. Is there any other way that you could speak to the sites?
So I'm sure there is. I don't know if I know them, but one thing that I tend to do is when you just want to feel the energy, it's like the sampler energy. What I'll do is I'll rub my hands together just a little bit, 1, 2, 3. That's about it. And then I'll pull my hands apart and I can almost feel the energy pulling my hands back together a little bit, but I pull them apart. And then after asking the site if it's okay, I'll put my hands about 3 inches away from the site, whether that's a stone, whether that's a building or something, and just feel that energy. Mm-hmm. That can be a powerful introduction as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're not ready for the red ball meditation, try the hand rubbing together and just placing about 3 inches off the stones or site and see what happens.
That's a good way to learn how to talk to the trees also.
Yep.
Or plants or whatever. It's just getting that energy flowing in your hands and then just feeling what you feel. And it feels different for everybody. So be open to whatever experience you might have and know that you're not making it up. That's important.
For sure.
Awesome. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
Good for today.
All right. Awesome.
Till next time.
Thank you so much.
Maybe I'll get my coffee punch card punched.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope something in this conversation resonated with you, and if it did, I'd love to stay connected. If you've been seeing repeated numbers everywhere and wondering what they mean, I created a free guide just for you. It breaks down the most common angel numbers and what your guides might be trying to tell you. You can grab that link at www.divineascensionco.com/angel-numbers. And if you're feeling called to work together, whether that's activating your mission, clearing what's blocking you, or just figuring out what the heck your soul is trying to tell you. Let's chat. You can book a discovery call through the link in the show notes. I'll catch you on the next episode. Until then, trust what you know.